In July of 1518, a woman named Frau Trophäa stepped into a dirt street in Strasbourg and began to dance. She didn't do this for joy. She danced silently, compulsively, and with a terrifying physical intensity she could not stop. Within days, dozens of citizens joined her. By August, the crowd swelled to 400 people, all locked in the same involuntary marathon. Baffled city officials assumed the cure was more dancing, so they built a wooden stage and hired professional musicians to play through the chaos. The intervention backfired. Pushed past the limits of human endurance, victims began collapsing into the dirt, their bodies giving out entirely. Many suffered fatal strokes and heart attacks right there on the street. 400 healthy people had been wiped out by a highly contagious, completely invisible force that left no biological trace. In 1962, 3 students at a boarding school in Tanzania started to giggle. The laughter spread from classroom to classroom in violent, uncontrollable fits that lasted for hours. The epidemic infected over 1,000 people and forced multiple schools to shut their doors for months. 4 decades later, in 2006, more than 300 Portuguese students suddenly developed severe rashes and breathing issues. The illness perfectly mimicked a fictional, life-threatening virus they had just watched on a popular teen soap opera. A dancing plague, a laughter epidemic, and a soap opera virus present wildly different physical symptoms. Yet medical investigators examining these outbreaks all arrived at the exact same clinical finding: 0 biological pathogens, 0 bacteria, and 0 environmental toxins were ever found in the victims. The victims were enduring real physical agony, but the total absence of a biological disease points to a different kind of infection vector entirely. The contagion was psychological. For centuries, historians tried to explain away the 1518 dancing outbreak with a purely physical theory: ergot poisoning. Ergot is a naturally occurring hallucinogenic fungus that grows on damp rye, a staple of the medieval diet. The biology doesn't hold up. While ergot does cause hallucinations, it also severely restricts blood flow to the extremities. Starving the muscles of oxygen makes days of extreme aerobic stamina physically impossible. Today, psychiatrists classify these events as mass psychogenic illness. If you look at the historical record, these outbreaks almost exclusively target tight-knit populations, like convents, factories, and boarding schools, that are living under severe emotional or societal stress. Early investigators failed to cure these outbreaks because they were hunting for a physical toxin. The true poison was the oppressive environment itself. To understand how an oppressive environment physically breaks a human being, you have to look at conversion disorder. It acts as the brain's ultimate, desperate survival mechanism for handling unbearable emotional distress. When psychological trauma overwhelms the mind, the brain converts abstract emotional input into a rigid electrical signal, sending a malfunction straight down the spinal cord. That neural misfire manifests in severe ways. It can trigger uncontrollable tremors, hyperventilation, laughing fits, or total paralysis. The brain's software is crashing under the weight of severe stress, and that system failure forces the body's physical hardware to involuntarily glitch. This software crash can become contagious through the nocebo effect. When a group collectively believes they are facing a severe threat, their brains will literally manufacture the physical symptoms of that exact threat. In 1899, widespread newspaper reports triggered a nationwide panic over a deadly insect called the kissing bug. As terrifying headlines spread, citizens across the country began waking up with severely swollen lips and eyelids, developing intense allergic reactions to houseflies and bees they mistakenly believed were the deadly bug. All it takes is an index case, the first person to crack under the pressure, combined with sensationalized reporting. In dense, highly connected populations, witnessing someone else's physical illness creates a powerful subconscious expectation, triggering a wave of physical conformity. When an abstract idea is amplified by authoritative panic and mass media, it becomes just as biologically infectious as an airborne virus. It is critical to understand that victims of mass psychogenic illness are never faking their symptoms. They aren't acting, and they aren't consciously seeking attention. The intense physical pain, the crush and exhaustion, and the neurological spasms they experience are as biologically real and measurable as a broken bone. Modern human brains remain structurally identical to medieval brains. we are just as vulnerable today, which is why an entire Virginia high school had to be evacuated in 2007 after dozens of students suddenly fell ill with identical, inexplicable muscle tremors. Society may no longer fear demonic curses or witchcraft, but the digital age and social media algorithms now provide an exponentially faster, wider vector for psychological contagion. Because this illness lacks a biological pathogen, traditional medical interventions fail. Vaccines, quarantines, and antibiotics are entirely useless against an idea. The actual medical cure requires physically removing the affected group from the stress-inducing environment. You have to shut down the media panic fueling the expectation and bring in targeted psychological support, like cognitive behavioral therapy or telepsychiatry, to treat the underlying trauma. Mass hysteria is ultimately a physical alarm bell. It is a violent neurological signal, warning us that a society's collective psychological burden has finally become too heavy to bear.